Our driving interview segment is sponsored by the Traffic T-Shirt Collection.
Hi, my name is Frank Salomon. I'm a Division Chief for the Phoenix Fire Department. Currently, I'm the Division Chief of Public Affairs. Public Affairs and Community Education is the section of the Phoenix Fire Department that's responsible for educating the community. We have an incredible curriculum called the Urban Survival Curriculum that is currently being taught in schools throughout the city of Phoenix. And we also have the Choose to Survive program that is being taught in high schools throughout the city of Phoenix. We also work in the community with the neighborhood associations. We have the smoke alarm program, and also, which is a very important program, which is the car seat program. We install car seat. We have technicians that are firefighters for the Phoenix Fire Department that are also certified technicians that install car seats. And not only do they install car seats, but they also educate the parents on the proper use and the proper way to fit a child in a car seat. And then, of course, we know that with the child changing and getting older and getting heavier, some of the dynamics change. So it's a very interesting section of the Phoenix Fire Department. The role of the Phoenix Fire Department when it comes to an automobile incident or a crash, let's say, is to respond. The majority of the way that naturally the way that we get notified when an incident has occurred is through the 911 system. So our dispatch center receives the call and dispatches the closest, most available, and most appropriate unit to the incident. Most of the time we are the first responders to arrive, even prior to the police department arriving, and our job is to stabilize the incident and to determine who's actually injured, and then to provide medical support. Sometimes that could be just a simple Band-Aid, but unfortunately most of the time it becomes a pretty large event in which the amount of injury and the amount of trauma that the patients have sustained is pretty incredible. So in those cases, when we call them a level 1, meaning that the highest level of priority that we're going to give that person so that we can stabilize them there on the scene, provide medical support to them, and transport them as quickly as we possibly can to an appropriate facility. And not just the closest hospital, but it has to be the most appropriate facility, one with a trauma room and one with a surgeon and ready to receive that level of injury. That's just one of our many roles and many hats that we wear when it comes to automobile incidents. I believe that one of our most important role is education. I believe that the moment that we get that call and we roll out, something has already failed. Somebody has already been injured, an incident has already occurred. In an effort for us as the Phoenix Fire Department to save lives, we want to prevent that from occurring. We want to be able to educate the community, educate those drivers, especially the young teenage drivers, the importance of safety, the importance of wearing their seatbelt, the importance of driving within the speed limit and following all the rules of the road so that they can stay safe and we don't have to respond. Last year, the Phoenix Fire Department responded on over 12,000 calls. Those are emergency response calls that we arrived on scene and determined either there was no injury or in a lot of those incidents, unfortunately, there were fatalities involved. So our job as the Phoenix Fire Department is not only to respond when the incident has occurred, but really to educate and prevent an incident from occurring. That's a very good question. Who pays the cost for the Phoenix Fire Department to respond on an automobile crash? Well, the actual fire department responding to the crash, that's all done by taxpayers' money. When you pay your taxes, that money goes towards emergency and medical and fire services. So that is paid by tax money. But if you are transported from that, let's say that your injuries are such that you're going to need to be stabilized on a spine board, you're going to be placed on a gurney and transported to the hospital, then that ambulance ride, you're going to have to pay. The person receiving the services will have to pay, either through medical insurance or other ways, and sometimes it's going to have to come out right out of their pocket. But all that is regulated by the Department of Health Services They're the ones that regulate how much we have to charge and the service and for the services that we render. So the person receiving the medical care they're the ones that are going to be responsible for paying for that. Now, as far as the damage to the vehicles, all that has to be worked out through the insurance companies, and of course, depending on who's at fault. But that's a little out of my realm of training. But I know for sure that if the Phoenix Fire Department responds on you as a victim involved in an automobile crash, then that response there is paid by taxed dollars. But if you're transported on an ambulance, Phoenix Fire Department ambulance, then you will receive a bill that you'll have to be responsible for. Very good question. With more folks moving into the city of Phoenix, it seems that there will be more vehicles on our streets and highways, and that makes it difficult for us as the fire department. As we respond to emergency calls, either being a fire or a medical call or an automobile crash, it's difficult for us to maneuver our apparatus through the city streets. We have big pieces of equipment. They're very heavy, although very advanced in technology as far as being able to maneuver those vehicles. They're made out of lightweight material, and they're really state-of-the-art pieces of equipment. But nonetheless, it's very difficult for our engineers, our drivers, to maneuver through the congestion, through the traffic, especially if folks do not follow the rules of the road, meaning the law. When you see an emergency vehicle, you are to pull off to the right side of the road and stop, obviously when it's safe to do so. A lot of folks don't understand that. Perhaps they come from other countries where they really don't have rules like that, or perhaps they might have forgotten that that is the law, that you're supposed to pull over to the right and stop and give way to the emergency vehicle, either an ambulance, a fire truck, or a police car. It doesn't matter. And that is what we're depending on. As a driver of a 17-ton fire truck going down the road with lights and sirens responding to an emergency call, we want everybody to follow the law and to move out of the way. Obviously, we're asking for them to do it safely, but what's difficult for us is that when they don't hear us, they don't move out of the way, or when they finally do see that there's a big red fire truck behind them, they stop right in the middle of the road. And that forces the apparatus engineer to have to make some fast moves, which could put the crew in danger. It could put anybody around that fire truck in danger. It's a very, very heavy piece of equipment. We carry 500 gallons of water, so as you can imagine, that much weight rolling down the road at the speed that we're traveling makes it very difficult for not only the members inside, the firefighters inside the truck, but anybody around. So we ask folks to please review the law, and as a reminder that when you see an emergency vehicle either coming towards you or you see them in the rearview mirror, move over to the right when it's safe to do so. Fairly quickly, and stop and let the emergency vehicle go through, and don't follow behind the emergency vehicle. Give us plenty of room, just because many a times we're trying to find an address. Sometimes we pass up the address and we have to turn around and come back. So please give us plenty of room, and that's what we're asking the community to do.
Traffic injury every 25.6 minutes. Hours of Driving is hosted by Atilia Diaz. Tune in to Hours of Driving on Tuesdays at 7:30 and Saturdays at 3:30 p.m.